Good morning, guys. I hope you guys are doing well. So I thought, first of all, let me just start with Mshololo before I do anything else for the day. Because what on earth did he do? Did she do there? Oh my God, she came prepared, guns blazing, and I was so happy with everything that she did. So, uh, defense yake, it was very, oh my God, it was out of this world. I could not keep my eyes off her. I was impressed by everything that she was doing. Now, her defense, her stronger defense submission that is, it initially sounds. Oh my God, I don't even know. Yeah, yes, Umshololo, guys. Oh my God. Okay, so it was so perfect for me. I don't care how Judge Rata takes it and receives it. I don't care. Now, everything was so sound because the council was attacking the state on two separate levels. That's what Mshololo was dealing with. First, procedural entitlement, whether the state should be permitted to introduce their Mabungu Ntuli cell phone records at this late stage at all. Secondly, evidential admissibility, even if the court permits the state to introduce them, whether the state has laid the necessary foundation for those Section 205 records to become evidence. Now, the second attack is particularly important because judicial discretion to permit further evidence does not automatically make that evidence admissible. Firstly, the defense's central point, they are saying, accused number three in fact, Mshololo at this point, we were dealing with Mshololo. Accused number three prepared and presented his defense without knowing that the state intended to rely on Mabungu Ntuli's cell phone records. That matters because this isn't merely a situation where the state wants to introduce another document during its own case. Accused number three has already entered the witness box and testified. That was Mshololo's fight. So the defense's argument, all of them, Kengoku, is essentially you cannot change the evidential landscape after the accuser has committed himself to a version without explaining to him why this evidence was not produced earlier and without protecting the accused's right to respond to it. Now that is materially different, a different complaint from the state forgot to give us a document. It becomes the state wants to introduce evidence capable of affecting the accused's already delivered testimony after the accused prepared his case without knowledge of that evidence. That's the constitutional dimension Umshololo is trying to establish, or was trying to establish, or to show Judge Rata. We don't care what Judge Rata thinks when it comes to that. In a sense of, we know, yes, we do care. Uguti, he must do the right thing, but we already know how he reacts and how he performs in that courtroom. So whatever performance he brings, it's up to him. But the bottom line is that he was shown the truth. Yabo. Secondly, the judge's intervention about section 183 and 167 is significant. This is probably the most moment in the exchange. The judge effectively said, what about section 183 and section 167? Those gives the court discretion. That tells you that the judge is not necessarily accepting the defense's proposition that the state is simply not allowed to do this. The judge appears to be testing whether the defense's absolute proposition survives the court's statutory discretion powers. And the counsel responded, sensible, Umshololo, which is something that I like what she did there. Even if the court has the discretion, the defense must first be allowed to make submissions on whether that discretion should be exercised. I loved that when Mshololo did that. In a nutshell, she was also saying, shut up, allow me to do my submissions without you and interrupting me, sir. That's much a safer position than insisting that the court has zero power. This is where the defense should be perhaps careful, when it comes to it. If Umshololo argues the court has no power to admit this evidence, the state can attack that position. But if Umshololo, even the judges are taking that position, we already saw that. But if Umshololo argues the court may have a discretion, but a discretion must be exercised judicial. In fact, that's what she argued, consistently with the accused fair trial rights and the established requirements governing late or new evidence. That's substantially harder to work around when it comes to Judge Rata or knocked down. Akana choice. Thirdly, ujudge point judge's point is the defense's framework ne Umshololo deals with the Mulala case ne. Umshololo was relying on this principle that late or new evidence isn't automatically admitted merely because it might be relevant. The first requirement identified is essentially why wasn't the evidence produced earlier. Guys, you should have seen when she was giving these submissions. Damn it. The defense says the state has not answered that question, and that is potentially the most brutal thing that Umshololo said there, because the state's apparent says we discovered or retrieved this material from another case, but that does not necessarily answer why was this evidence not obtained and disclosed during the state's case in this trial. Those are different questions. Now, Umshololo is correctly trying to force the state to explain chronology. Why are you only bringing this now? Number four of the things that Umshololo dealt with, the another case explanation creates a major evidential problem. This portion is particularly interesting. The Section 205 records for Mabungu Ntuli were retrieved from another case. And now Umshololo immediately asked which case, and more importantly, under what circumstances were those records obtained? That's a very important question, because the existence of Section 205 document somewhere in another docket does not automatically establish what exactly was requested, what exactly was supplied, who requested it, who obtained, when it was obtained, what information was supplied to the service provider, what information the service provider returned, whether the document relates to the same number, whether the number was properly attributed to Mabungu Ntuli, whether the record is complete, whether the relevant witness can authenticate or explain it, and whether the state has established the evidential foundation for the record. So the defense is essentially saying, you are asking us to accept the existence of a document without giving us the evidential chain explaining how that document got here. That's the legitimate evidential attack from Umshololo. And she was not backing down, guys. She was counting things like nobody's business. Number five, there's one weakness that Umshololo showed them. They conflicted two separate questions. Should the state be allowed to introduce the evidence late? Question number two is if allowed, is the evidence admissible? Those are necessarily the same inquiry. The state could potentially win question A by pursuing the judge, but I believe Ukuthi Umshololo did a great job there, because, okay, it can be Uratat, the lateness is relevant to the exercise of the court's discretion, while the absence of evidential foundation is separate admissibility problem. That distinction is crucial, but Umshololo tried her best there. Also, the defense's Section 205 doesn't equal admissibility argument is powerful. This may be the strongest evidential point in the entire passage. The defense says, in substance, a Section 205 record does not become evidence merely because somebody produces a Section 205 document. That's exactly the point. It is fundamentally about compelling information, documents from a person or entity. It does not magically answer all the evidential questions surrounding the material subsequently produced. So the defense is attacking the state's apparent shortcut, Section 205 document, therefore admissible cell phone evidence. The defense says no to that. There must still be a proper evidential foundation. Now, Umshololo also touched on, she also introduced the really dangerous issue, the source of evidence. The defense says the record weren't obtained by the investigators who investigated this particular case. That creates a that creates a chain of provenance problem. The defense wants the state to explain who obtained this, when, for what investigation, under what authority, for what accused person or persons, uh, uh, what number was target, all of that information, who kept it, how was it kept, all of that. That is much more sophisticated than simply saying we didn't receive disclosure. So they want accountability from the state. Now the judge dealt with a lot of things on Friday, but one thing that I was happy about is that it defense is not backing down, and they wanted the state to build a chronology to make them understand where is all of this coming from and how. That's why they were asking for affidavits from the requester and all of that, Shandy. And ibikhona, but not for the Senzo Meyiwa case. So those are all the problems that the state is having right now, and those are also the problems that Judge Rata was faced with. Now the court has to confront the practical problem. Councils, Abo Mshololo and team ask a very good question. How is that going to happen? That's actually the killer practical question they brought. Suppose the judge allows the state to introduce the records, then what? Accused has already testified. Does the defense get further cross-examination, further examination in chief, recall of accused 3, recall of the state witness, an opportunity to call other witnesses, time to obtain its own cell phone expert? Like there's a lot. Time to investigate Mabungu Ntulu situation, time to obtain the underlying service provider records, access to the original section 205. Kuningi, guys, it's a lot. So the judge can't simply say, I admit the document and move on, because the defense is saying the late admission changes the battlefield after the accused has already fought on the original battlefield. So sizobona ke ukuthi uJudge Rata uzothini after all these things were put in his table, and we are yet to hear him telling us ukuthi uzoyenza kanjani. What are your thoughts when it comes to Mshololo? I was very impressed. I want to hear from you. Let's talk in the comment section. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.